So it's Monday, and this is a new segment that I kind of wanted to do, and I debated it and what I wanted to do on it, but it's officially going to be branded on this podcast as Music Monday. And at work, I have a thing that I call Metal Mondays, where I usually listen to a bunch of metal all day long, and then Techno Tuesdays, where I play like a bunch of, not necessarily techno music, but any kind of electronic music in general. But today, for the first official Music Monday, I decided to go with not a local in my area, but local as far as in Michigan band that I kind of discovered this year and really started to enjoy. They have a little EP, I think it's 5 songs, and man, does it rock. But it's not for people that are into country, and definitely not for people that are into like pop music or dance music. This is a pretty heavy, as far as grunge style goes, in my opinion. It's not metal, but it's, kind of garage, grunge, a little bit of punk, and it's fantastic. This EP is self-titled. The band is called No Skull, and they're fantastic. Let's just start at the beginning here, because I feel like I need to give a little preface. I need to preface the situation I'm in. I believe that's the right word for it. I've always really wanted to be a music reviewer or writer, and I consider myself a wannabe music reviewer because I have, if that's not obvious already, a lot of opinions on things, and music is definitely one of them. It's a thing that I personally can say helped me through a lot of things in my life, whether it was grieving for the loss of a loved one or, getting my anger out on my way home from a shitty day at work. It's something that I can always reflect to and really relate to. So with that all being said, I've never really gotten to speak my opinion to people unless they ask of it. So if you're listening, you clearly are interested in what I have to say. But I kind of started writing small-ish reviews and figured, maybe there was no other way to get that out there, since, no one's regularly asking me, hey, what do you think of music, or is there any other new music you listen to? So if you're listening to this, you're a lucky person that gets to stumble across my opinions on things. So there's seriously a very few amount of albums nowadays that I have loved as much as some in the past. I'm a huge 21 Pilots fan, and there's been multiple times where I catch myself listening to the same song or same album on repeat. And I spend a lot of time digging through Bandcamp, which is a website where people who aren't necessarily signed to a label, although there are labels on there, but people who aren't necessarily famous in the sense of getting airplay or getting Grammys or having their music in movies, TV shows, etc., that, this is a platform that you can post out an album or an EP or a single, whatever. And that used to be SoundCloud. I mean, I posted music on SoundCloud for a long time when I was producing heavily, and, anyone can get on Spotify nowadays. Anyone can put their music on iTunes. But Bandcamp is more of a niche little area where anyone can post to it, sure, but if you're not promoting it in a way to drive people to your SoundCloud, there's people like me that dig through Bandcamp by tags and stuff. And one that I recently went back to, and I used to do this frequently back in college when I was working at a radio station, but I always search the Michigan tag. And I really like to find bands that are in Michigan, and it really excites me when I find a band that I can listen to regularly and enjoy, and this is one of them. No Skull is, as I mentioned before, kind of puts themselves on the sludge punk. In fact, that's one of the tags that they have, is sludge punk trio. They're kind of a self-proclaimed that, but it's fuzzy, it's grungy, it's probably mastered well for the case that they have, that sound in mind when they're getting their music mastered. They want to be that kind of garage style, overall sound. And I really dig that sound. It's raw. It's nothing that's like you can tell there's no auto tune. There's no over synthesized keys in the background that are trying to make a harmony with the voice. They're just playing, and it's beautiful. It's a little more noise than old Nirvana, say, like in the Bleach days. It's a little bit more fuzzy than that, in my opinion. And, well, that's a little bit more enjoyable for me as far as the speed and the groove goes. They're kind of more relatable to the Melvins, if you've ever listened to the Melvins, excuse me. Those guys really brought me back to my middle school years where I discovered my love for rock and roll and really discovered my love for punk, because who doesn't like to be an angsty teen in middle school saying, yeah, screw the system. I don't want to be the conformative top 40 radio listener. And that it really tickled my inner child. They have really catchy choruses, man. Catchy riffs, simple drums. And I mean simple as far as a good beat always drives a song. And it's not Meg White simple, but come on. If you don't like the White Stripes and you're like a punk fan, well, then, you need to search in other places for your punk style music, because she, Meg White really set the tone for simplistic drums that still drove a song, again, in my opinion. The band No Skull described themselves as a heavy riff-driven and having sleepy vocals, which, if that's not the most accurate, hit the nail on the head description of this band, I don't know what is. And damn, their one song, Bottom of the Sea and Pure Poison, have really, really catchy feels to them. Their first EP gives me hope to what they have definitely coming into the future. I'm gonna again keep the hope up, because I hope that they continue to produce their music in this raw style and continue to write their music in a kind of sludgy grunge, not the horror movie, grunge genre that will really, really push this music, I think, to the top of the charts in platforms like Bandcamp. On my music rating, I usually give an album a rating out of 10, the same way that I do a movie. And I'm going to give this album a solid 8. The only thing that I think that would make this album better is if there was, or this EP, excuse me. Anything that would make this better, it would be longer. Their final song on the album is 11 minutes long. I'm stumbling all over the place today. It's 11 minutes long, and it's groovy as hell to just put on, and I just can rock to it all day long. In fact, I listened to it today on loop, all 5 songs over and over again, just because I was like getting into it and wanted to have those riffs smashed in the back of my skull, so that I was hearing them while I'm giving this little review. And that is exactly what's happening. If you want to listen to the song to get into the style of music that they are playing, check out their song Bottom of the Sea. It is so good. So damn good. I find myself humming that song just walking around. I went grocery shopping a little while ago, and that's the song I was humming while I was walking through the grocery store. I would suggest anyone that likes the punk, stoner, grudge rock, if you have a soft spot for that genre of music, like myself, check out this EP. They're from, I believe, the Lansing area. On their Bandcamp and then on their Facebook, I think there's 2 different cities on there, so I'm not sure if they're like more in the Lansing area and they live in a suburb outside of Lansing or whatever it may be. But if they come down to the Detroit area, I will definitely rock to them. I will go see them for sure. Not that I haven't driven from the Detroit area all the way up to Lansing to see a show before, because I did that with 21 Pilots before that they really hit their break. They played at a couple of smaller venues that I drove a couple hours to go see, and I really liked them. And if they tickle your fancy, their newer stuff is kind of, it's still poppy, but it's a little darker than their other stuff. They got them on the radio and kind of put them on the map. You may enjoy these guys. I don't know, guys and gals. I think the lead singer is the only one who is a man in this band, which is awesome as well, because it's always cool to see. And I guess that's so cliche of me to say right now in the times that it is, because of course girls can play rock and roll and metal too. I'm a big fan of Arch Enemy, who's had a couple of female lead singers now who can scream and do the death gurgle way better than some of the other metal bands that have male vocalists that I've come across. But they're absolutely fantastic. I'm going to try, if I remember, to put a link in the description of the video to their Bandcamp and to their Facebook, and even to their Spotify. They are on Spotify. And if you really want to check them out, go ahead. I had to add this little tidbit, and I just wrote it on a note so I would remember. Their lead singer in the picture that they have on their Facebook is wearing a Rocco's Modern Life shirt. And I'm sorry, if you come on stage rocking a Rocco's Modern Life shirt, I already love you. I don't care what you're playing. I'm just supporting you because of your shirt. Absolutely. This is something different. I wanted to try. It's not super long, which is great because I want to just put my opinion out about this album or EP or whatever I'm reviewing, and hope people are like, hey, that was a great 10-minute podcast and a great description of the thing you wanted to get your opinion on. I'm going to go check it out, because some of my other videos are a little bit longer, and some of it's just me rambling and saying and apparently all the time, which I'm really, really trying to do. It's hard to sit down at a mic by yourself and talk for more than 5 minutes on a topic, and I'm really trying to get that down pat, and I hope that it is something that people will enjoy listening to later on, and something that I can obviously come back and reflect on in the future. Again, No Skull, self-titled EP, 5 songs. They have currently 500 likes on Facebook, so they are obviously growing very, very slowly, and that's totally okay, because that's how people become famous. No one just wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I have 10,000 followers on Facebook, now I'm famous. You have to slowly progress and post things and do things, and I totally support it, because I'm in that boat right now. Even if this doesn't get any more than 2 views, I'm going to be totally happy that the fact that I've discovered this band, 2 people have listened to it, and, hopefully you've gotten a little bit of enjoyment out of it. Until then, I'm going to try. I posted this on the Patreon page, so if anyone has checked it out, even just to look at it, I'm going to try to post more there, because I don't have a Facebook page, I don't have a Twitter or anything like that. I think that's just where I'm going to do my postings other than on YouTube. I'm going to try to do 3-ish, 4-ish videos a week if I can, and then take some time off and figure out what I want to talk about next and get my notes together so I'm not, getting stale in the middle of a discussion and losing my train of thought, which has happened to me already. And hopefully I can get some better content to listen to. So until then, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, I hope you again check this band out. And next Monday, we will have another discussion of a band or an EP that I've gotten into recently, or album. I mean, I guess I could do albums too. I was thinking about doing a little top 10 list of concept albums that I've followed in my life, because there's a thing going on right now, and I'll just get into this shortly, where there's an oversaturation in the movie industry of sequels and reboots and remakes and whatever else you want to call them. But it would be really cool to see if a band, and I'm sure that they're out there, there's remasters of albums, but I want to see if a band has rebooted an album or looked at an album under a different light. And I know that, to name 2 off the top of my head, Cage the Elephant did one. It was kind of an all-acoustic album, and so did Portugal the Man, and they've actually toured together, and they're both obviously very big right now. But they did a remaster or reimagining of their albums. But I'd really like to see if there's a concept album out there that gets pulled into different parts that continues a story that's being told, and what the underlying story is. Because sometimes when you're listening to music, if you're just a music person, you're not listening to the lyrics. And I have a buddy who does that. Shout out to Tony. He just listens to the music. He doesn't necessarily listen to the lyrics, which is really interesting to me, because I'm a big lyrical person, even though I can't write lyrics in the music that I create, and I can't really sing that well, in my opinion. So there's no drive for me to get lyrics into my music. And if there ever was, I think I would hire someone to sing or rap or even speak over it, as American, oh God, I'm drawing a blank, but I think the Doors did it on one of their albums, where it was just a bunch of poetry over music, which is really interesting to me. But I would like to see if there was sequels to a concept album or a concept album that was drug out into parts. And I know that they're out there, and I really want to get into that. So I'll be doing a little bit more research through the week for that. Again, hopefully you check these guys out. Thanks for listening. My name is Vox. I don't really say that much because I assume that people have listened to the first episode where I do my little intro. But I will make sure I try to do that more often now in case you haven't listened to the first episode and are just clicking through to see different topics that I've spoken about. So my name is Vox. This is Over Opinionated Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you on the next one.